Come and take a class at the Alteration.
All right, everybody, welcome to another wonderful episode of Alter Academy. Today we have one of the pioneers of the Amethyst Steel Broom deck, which is fresh off wins at Charlie's Collectible Card Show and the first Disney Lorcana Worlds. Representing world-class cards, I'm excited to have Justin Shaft with us today. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, we ran into a little technical difficulty, so the camera's not working, but we still have Justin with us, so you're just going to be hearing him today. So getting into it, Justin, could you tell me a little bit about the history of this deck and how it ended up winning 2 major tournaments in the last month?
Yeah, absolutely. So the start of this deck was we were struggling against the green purple Diablos last format when they were just all over the place. It was just kind of like shifting Diablo. Every deck that we played kind of was having trouble beating it. My roommate, best friend Christopher, put Yensid's in the deck. It began starting like as a Peter Pan Iago type deck, and just like having a ton of ways to kill Diablo and just could never lose in that matchup. But slowly but surely, we kind of realized that Yensid was the best card in the deck. uh, and yeah, just kind of grew from there. He was able to win CCS. I played it down at Southside Gaming for a couple tournaments, but didn't have any great results. I bubbled or whatever. Then he was able to take down CCS. Then we were able to scallywag Khan into playing it last week at Worlds, which was great, and he was lucky enough to win.
Yeah, and I saw some of those games where he was able to beat items on the draw with this deck, which really helped solidify some of his matches for sure. So very impressive run by him.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't be happier for DKB.
What are some of the This is pretty like almost a standard 2-liner list. Is there anything interesting you want to talk about before we get into the altars?
Oh yeah, there's not that many flex spots in this deck, I would say. I mean, you could play 3 goats. You could go up or down on the genie count depending on how much Diablo you plan on playing against. You could go up to Elsa, but I don't really recommend it. This is kind of just trying to be like a clean, linear, low to the ground aggro deck. Be faster than the other purple decks. Have answers to the Diablos. Be fast enough to kill the blue-red decks. Be too fast for red-purple. It just kind of struggles a little bit with like the Steel Song variants. It's okay against like the aggro Amber Steel decks. But really the only matchup that it kind of struggles with, and I wouldn't even say it's terrible, is the Steel Song is probably 40%.
Got it. Yeah, and for viewers at home, this is one of the cheapest decks I think I've ever featured, clocking it at $136 only. So any budget-friendly players, this deck might be for you.
Yeah, I think part of that's like the whole thing rotates, right? As we're getting closer to rotation, I think the card prices are kind of just going down in general.
Yeah. Yeah, other than Genie, who will probably be one of the or continue to be one of the most expensive cards since he will not be rotated.
Yeah, definitely going to be one of the pillars of the format.
All right, well, let's get into some altars. We will start as we always do, blind on the play. How would you go ahead and walk me through what you're doing for altars in this matchup, or blind on the play matchup?
I'm glad we opened Fire the Cannons. This is kind of one of the points of contention between me and my roommate on whether we keep Fire the Cannons blind or not. I think it's pretty simple that you don't keep it because you don't have a 1-drop. I don't basically keep Fire the Cannons blind no matter what because it's such a big deal to open up against the blue decks. Assuming that blue decks are like 30% of the meta, somewhere between 20 and 30%, I think it's just too dangerous to keep. But it also, like, in your worst matchup, is very good. So I think the only card you keep here is Smee. You have to mulligan for a 1-drop. Yeah, I don't think there's really any other potential mulligan.
Got it. All right.
Is that what you would do here too, JBaum, or?
I haven't played this deck too much, so I'm probably gonna go with you as well. Like there'd be some options where I would consider keeping Yensid in other matchups if I had a Broom, for instance, but we don't even have a Broom, so I'm 100% with you on this one, no questions. I'm sending everything but the Smee. Ooh,
Yeah, this is one of the terrible things about keeping Smee. I think keeping Smee is just such a powerful 2-drop
Yeah.
that it is worth keeping. We do play 12 1-drops in this deck, so this normally shouldn't happen. But this is kind of worst case scenario now.
Yeah, this is not an ideal start at all. Even after we play the Smee, we're not doing too much on 3 because these are all reactionary cards, and so yeah, I don't like the odds of this game. All right, let's go ahead and do blind on the draw and see if we can do a little better with our hand here. Oh, and there it is. Already a lot better.
Oh yeah, so on the draw here, I think you actually can keep Fire the Cannons as a tempo play. I would probably mulligan or alter the Fox, Crab, Snake, and Dock. It's funny, me and Kurt kind of have totally different philosophies with Dock. I basically, unless I'm keeping 7, always mulligan Dock, especially in this deck, because you're going to be drawing so many cards from, like, whether it's your 1-drops, whether it's Yensid, whether it's Genie. I basically never keep Dock in my opening hand, but I know some people definitely have different opinions than that.
Yeah, I'm not one for keeping cards like this. It's not as scary as like a whole new world, but I just don't like getting doubled up, and so as much as Doc is like such an engine and so important in these matchups, I'm just so scared of double drawing Doc. So I'm in your camp, and I'm altering away that Doc. But let's see what we get.
This is a pretty good draw, especially depending on what we're playing against.
Oh yeah.
Having the Broom into Yensid, then maybe ideally, whatever, working in Fire the Cannon somewhere on the curve, having followers, it's definitely a good draw.
Yeah, this is definitely a hand where we can kind of flush out our resources and get Doc going and be in pretty good shape. And so, although we are on the draw, this is one of those just kind of lightning starts that we have. And if they have the Shift Diablo 2, we can fire the cannons and be in really good shape. So, this one, we might be going to a game 3 after losing game 1 and playing game 2 here. But yeah, this is a very good start. So let's move into one of the most powerful decks of the format, the Ruby Sapphire Items deck on the play.
Ruby Sapphire Items, you're just trying to go basically as fast as possible. If they don't open Bell, they basically just can't win. Pretty easy, just keep followers here, mulligan 6. Try to go as fast as possible. Try to draw as many 1-drops. This is kind of where Yensid shines the most, because if they don't open Bell, it's just going to be cracked. But
and we got the famous triple 1-drop, which is always nice, especially when they don't open Bell.
Yeah, Giant Cobra being one of the best cards in the matchup, because you actually can threaten Bell if they do have it on 1. Diablo kind of like in this deck, especially because you're like going so wide with Yensids and all these other creatures that you kind of leave in play. Diablo just being one of the best cards in the deck.
Yeah,
good hit.
We're off to a great start on this one, but let's go into Ruby Sapphire on the draw now items as well.
I don't feel like this is really that informative, because again, we're just like keeping the 1-drop and mulliganing everything else, trying to go as fast as possible.
Hey, that happens sometimes, but yeah, there are hands that just are quick where you just do that. Like I feel like Ruby Sapphire Shark is actually one of those decks too, where it's like, oh, I don't have ramp, I guess I send everything back. And so this deck has got some kind of similar lines like that, where you got to have those quick starts. And so easy enough. Let's alter. Let's see. Pretty all right. Start here.
Yeah, we have the Broom into Yensid. Hopefully, just trying to draw more Brooms.
Yeah.
And again, like, there's no way we're gonna lose unless they open Bell. This matchup is like 50-50 when you're on the draw, and it basically just completely hinges on whether if they have Bell or not.
Yeah. Let's go into Amber Steel, Hamster Wheel on the play now.
Hamster Wheel. So it depends on kind of like how much information you have on the matchup. Broom can be okay in this matchup because it just doesn't die to Storm. But I would probably just actually keep Snake here. You kind of want to be able to threaten their aerial, and I would keep Diablo in the Snake, and that's probably it. I guess you keep Pete too against the Hamster wheel deck specifically, but
Yeah, we love Pete, and that's not even that's not too bad of a curve to have just 2/3/3s out and stop their songs and keep developing our board.
yeah, it's just like the turn 3 or turn 4 wheel that's really good against this deck. After like turn 5, wheel just doesn't even become a thing that they can do anymore. Because like if you're able to flood the board, empty your hand, wheel is just a great card for them to cast from your perspective. So
Right, right, and then because you can usually just drop like everything again or have more fuel for like bouncing cobras and just get to 20. All right, not too
yeah,
bad.
yeah, I think we'd definitely be able to win this game, especially on the play.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's do the hamster wheel deck on the draw now.
So obviously this is pretty tough. This is kind of where the deck probably the worst matchup specifically on the draw against the wheel deck. Um, what would I do here? This is kind of interesting. I wish we had a 1-drop, then it makes the decisions a lot easier.
It sure does.
On the draw, I would probably like strength is such an appealing card in this matchup too, but I just don't think we can keep it. I would probably here just keep Snake and Pete, or Smee and Pete. I'm sorry, my apologies. And mulligan everything else, just because 1-drops are so important. There is like a case for keeping strength here. What would you do here normally?
We're on the draw. I really don't like keeping strength, especially versus Amber Steel, because if we get our 1-drop, they have a high chance of just doing Cindy or Rhino into singing something, and then our strength is just going to be very hard to live until obviously our P turn, and so I guess we could flood after our P turn and theoretically kill something. So it's tough, but we have 4th strengths in the deck, and so we likely draw 1, especially altering 5 by the time we get to turn 4 after we've peated. So I'm fine sending it back.
Yeah, like like playing Pete on 3, then being able to strength or aerial is super great. But
Oh
the
yeah.
thing is, like if they played it, alternatively, if they played a Daisy on 1, they kind of put you in jail, right? Because then you strength their aerial, and now they have this Daisy into their Rapunzel turn, and it's like, was that even like was that even good?
Yeah, and a lot of times no.
Right?
So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and see. This is just 1 broom away from being very strong, but unfortunately we do not have that broom. But we did get the strength back.
This is like one of the nuances. Obviously, here you're probably just going to start by inking Yensids, but like whenever you're playing the deck, Yensid's kind of the last inkable. Like obviously you ink Yensids all the time, but you kind of want to keep it in your hand just in case you draw a broom, right? So
Right.
you kind of avoid inking the Yensid until you absolutely have to, because obviously like you basically never play it as a 1/3 that does nothing.
Yeah.
So you just kind of want to be cognizant of the fact that you could draw a 1-drop broom and now you're off to the races. So you kind of just be careful with that. But
Yeah. Okay, let's go into Emerald Steel on the play now. And we'll say it's the
Emerald
discard.
Emerald Steel discard. So obviously we're keeping cannons, we're keeping
Oh yeah.
speed, we're keeping Diablo. There's a case, I guess we're keeping Pete. Ideally not playing it on turn 3, but turn 4. Just in case they have the Ursula 3, that card can be really good. Muses can be really good. Pete's super important in this matchup as well. So yeah, I would keep I would mulligan Cobra, Fox, Yensid.
Yep, I'm with you 100%. I couldn't agree more. So let's see what we get. All right, we can.
Oh yeah, double fire is definitely not ideal, but probably still fine in this matchup.
Yeah. A lot of people like to shift Diablo and have another Diablo, so but they're going to be very sad when they place little Diablo and see our hand and realize they cannot Diablo this game for a very long time.
Yeah, one of my favorite like interactions is with this deck is like when they Diablo on turn 1 and they see double fire the cannons and they have like Ursula in their hand and they're like, "Oh wow, I thought everything was set up and now I just can't like interact with you at all."
Yeah, gotta punish those Emerald Steel players, you know? They can't have it all the time. Um, all right, let's go on the draw now. I think we do very well with this game, and this is kind of an easy win if they come into play with the standard Shift Diablo lines. But okay, so we're on the draw versus Emerald Steel. What are we doing here? We got the cannons again, which is lovely.
Again, we're probably keeping a Pete. We're probably keeping the aerial cleaner broom. Um, there's like a case for just mulliganing the fire the cannons here, but I think I would just keep it. Genie's obviously very good in this matchup, but on the draw definitely is going back. So I'd be keeping broom, fire the cannons, and Pete, and that's it. Hopefully drawing a 1-drop.
All right, let's see what we get. No one drop, sadly. Painful on the draw.
That's okay. But we're okay. I mean, we're on the draw. Basically, we're not going to get blown out of the game. And then we did draw Strength, which is like, besides 1-drop, the best card that we could draw besides a 1-drop, because just killing the... well, it depends on what they do on turn 1. If they check our hand, we're going to have to Ink Strength.
Yes.
But... yeah, I don't know how I would play this game. This is kind of interesting, because you want to have the Strength for the Ursula 3. I think you just have to let your Strength get discarded if they have it, but it'd be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I always just get punished, so I'm just usually on the plan of I don't want to lose this card, so I'm inking it. But there's always those times too where they do miss and then you get rewarded, but those are few and far between.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's do a mirror match on the play. We're going against our friend's Broom deck.
Yeah, I don't think there's been that many of these ever played. But
for now.
Yeah. Obviously, I guess just here you're just keeping a Smee and that's it.
Yeah. Pretty easy. We need those 1-drops.
We are playing 12, as it doesn't seem... we're not drawing them every hand here, but that's normally really rare to not have a 1-drop.
Yeah, and here they are.
Yep, all of them.
Yeah, this is a wonderful hand versus the mirror. Now, the big question is, are you playing Chernobog or Broom first when you have both versus the mirror?
Against the mirror specifically on the play, I think you develop 1 Broom. Then you play Smee, and you kind of keep the other Broom in your hand. That way, if you do end up having to pop the Broom, a lot of the times you're just going to sit with Broom and play. If you end up getting punished at some point, that's okay. Just because it's worth so much if you draw a Yensid randomly in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
The crux of this deck is like playing around the Elsa turns, playing around the B prep turns, like figuring out when to quest. Normally just questing before the turn they Elsa you, just so they can't get like a ton of advantage from that. This deck's a lot of fun to play if you haven't played any games with it. All the games are super close.
Yeah.
They're super intricate. It's kind of like playing Ruby Amethyst in the way that the games are always really close. And normally there's like a line to get to 20, but this is like the aggro version of that, right? Instead of being like the control version in Ruby Amethyst.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's go another mirror match, but on the draw this time.
Mirror match on the draw. The mirror match, normally Genie is pretty important, but I think on the draw it's just too slow. On the play, I wouldn't mind necessarily keeping a Genie, but on the draw we're definitely putting it back. I would probably just keep... I'd actually keep Chernobog, Diablo, Crab in the mirror, I believe. I would also keep Crab. And then kind of just having triple 1-drop into Crab is a good line.
Oh yeah, I like that. And let's see what we get.
Cool, we ended up drawing a Genie anyways. We kind of have our first 4 turns planned out in most cases.
Yeah, just gotta draw some Inkables.
Ideally force them to have to trade with our Chernobygs and just keep questing with them, obviously until the Fox turn, but then we'll see.
All right, let's go into Amethyst, Emerald, on the play, and we'll say it is the tempo version.
The tempo version. So there's a couple different ways you could mulligan this hand. You could keep the Smee or not keep the Smee. I would actually, I think, put the Smee back here. Just keep Broom and Yensid, and then Genie. Genie being so powerful against these green-purple decks, just applying pressure, and then you're just trying to draw. Like, a lot of the times they're just going to open Diablo on one or something that doesn't even have any power, and you can start questing with your Yensid, forcing them to crab, trading their Diablo and kind of putting themselves behind on tempo, then playing a Genie. Sometimes, because Peter Pan doesn't really effectively challenge Yensid, and that's their main plan on turn 3. So keeping Broom, Yensid, Genie, putting the Fox back as well.
Okay, let's see how we do here.
Oh yeah, good hand. Gonna do stuff. Strength being really good in this matchup, normally because they're gonna try to like set up with an evasive on the board, to try to Elsa and then whatever Peter Pan or Iago or whatever it is to try to kill your Genie. So strength is normally very good in this matchup. Maybe we have to ink it. We'll see.
Yeah, I just whenever I'm against an Ursula deck, I just always feel like I have to ink it unless I have 2, and then I'm just like, okay, I'll be greedy.
Yeah, but in this matchup specifically, like you're playing a Yensid on 2, so it's
Yeah.
like if they're playing Ursula, it just I mean
it's
I don't know.
it's
It
pretty
just
slow,
depends.
yeah.
Right.
All right, let's do the same tempo deck on the draw. That's Amethyst Emerald on the draw.
Yeah, this is kind of funny that they're just pretty simple. It would just be Broom and Yensid.
All right. And what's the reason we're sending the Diablos back? Just they're not too good in this matchup here.
They're just, I mean, like, the majority of the time you're just going to be inking them, in my opinion. You're wanting to kind of draw more velocity. You could probably, I don't know, I wouldn't keep them.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly the list you're playing against, but you want to have, like, if you have, like, completely open deck lists, and we know they don't have Diablo in their deck, maybe you could just keep, but I'm kind of treating it, the majority of them still play Diablos, right? Or are we treating this like,
No, a majority
it
of them
might be
still play Diablo.
Yeah. And I just think like then it's necessary to try to find an answer to the
Yeah.
Diablo,
Yeah, especially on
because
the draw.
the 2-drop Brooms are just worth so much in this matchup in particular, because then your Jensen's requesting for 3 and you have an answer to the Broom or the Diablo.
Yeah. Okay, let's see how we do. Not the greatest altar there, but we have an answer for Diablo.
Yeah, yeah, with Genie or Strength. Obviously Genie's not ideal again on the draw, but
Yeah.
we can Strength it on 3 if we have to.
We sure can. Wouldn't be the first time I've strength a Diablo on 3, and it won't be the last. All right. Well, we've gone through some quick altars, actually. Just kind of one of the, not simpler, but it's got kind of a uniform strategy. And you'll see that kind of a lot with aggro decks, where you're just kind of targeting these 1-drops. And so we were able to get through these altars a little quicker than most weeks. But Justin, is there anybody you want to shout out or say anything to before we send off today's episode?
Oh yeah, my whole team, World Class Cards. Just started a podcast, Tales of the Meta, if you want to check that out. Chris Baxter for basically being the pioneer of this deck, me kind of piggybacking off of it. Yeah, and you, JBaum, thank you for having me on.
Oh, not a problem. Happy to have you and love to showcase these kind of rogue decks that just have been taking the world by storm here. And I can actually say world now that it won the world championship this last week. So very excited to have you on and just get to showcase Yensid, who is one of those cards that was just so ever so close to just being such a powerful sorcerer, but he was just didn't have his time, and as rotation grew closer, I thought he wasn't going to have his time, and so just very excited to see him finally get his due. And oh yeah, how many Yensid Enchanteds do you have now?
56 right now. I actually counted. Yeah.
Are you? What's
We're
the plan
talking
with
talking
those?
about maybe doing it. We're talking about maybe doing a bounty this week at PPG. If you 2-0 me, you get an enchanted Yensid or something. But we'll see
Oh, that'll be
exactly what we
fun.
end up doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck at PPG once this episode airs. Hopefully, I will have seen you in the top, and yeah.
Yeah, I definitely challenge people to play this deck. I know that it seems kind of straightforward from the altars that we did, but there's a lot of gameplay to this deck, and I think it's pretty fun. It's definitely like reinvigorated my like passion for the game again, and I challenge people to play it a little bit.
Yeah, that's really well said, because there are some decks where the altars are extremely difficult and extremely important, and then the gameplay is more smooth. I think this one is, while the altars are important, the gameplay on this is so tight. Like when I was playing Amethyst Steel, I wasn't playing the Brooms version, but I felt like I could win every game, and there was so many different decisions you could make every turn, and based on like, should I have popped the broom there, and then you like kind of topped up a strength and you wish you didn't pop there, because I just felt like there was always a path to victory, and I really appreciate decks that always have a path to victory, and that's kind of the decks I like to play. I don't like to play these decks where it's like I know I've lost on turn 5 and I have to go through the motions, and so this is one I do like, just because you're never out of it. You can always find a way.
Yeah, you can always draw like Dock in the late game, and then Dock into Dock. It's crazy. Yeah. So you're never really out of it until the game's over.
Yes. All right. Well, good luck at PPG. Hopefully, we'll see you in the top cut. Thank you, everybody, for watching Alter Academy. I have been JBaum, and we will see you next week.